Hola Unconventionals, I'm Amelia.
And I'm JP.
And we're sharing our unconventional life with you from Ecuador.
And today we're going to go for a walk in the country east of Olón.
And while we're on our walk, we're going to tell you the top 10 things that shocked us the most about Ecuador. If you're new to our channel or you're thinking of visiting or moving to Ecuador, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell please.
Because we show you what it's really like to live in Ecuador. Out for the mud puddle, Amelia.
Yeah, that would be messy.
I know how much you like to play in the mud.
I do, but with proper footwear. The first thing that shocked us about Ecuador is that the dogs walk themselves.
Yeah, a lot of people have asked in our videos who takes care of all those dogs that are just roaming around freely. Most of them do have homes. They just are allowed to walk themselves.
Yeah, it can be hard to tell because a lot of the dogs don't have collars, although I have noticed more dogs seem to have collars here in Olón. But in Cuenca, a lot of dogs didn't have collars, and I assumed they were homeless, and that was not the case. Although there is an issue in other parts of Ecuador with homeless dogs, but luckily there's a lot of organizations that do help to feed and care for them.
Did you see my pineapple patch back there, Amelia?
Yes, I had no idea pineapples grew in the ground.
Can we move here?
No, because then I couldn't live there.
Yeah, with your pineapple allergy, I can't believe that I married you.
Haha, I can't believe I married you with your non-pineapple or piña allergy.
Amelia, this thing is so cool looking.
I know, I've never seen anything quite like it.
It's very prehistoric. Look at this, guys. What is this? Looks like a dinosaur plant.
It's really pretty. Those little
out.
flower petals are very pretty.
They are. It's going to grab you, though.
Oh, shut up.
That's how it lures you into its web, and then it just gulps you.
Like Seymour?
Yeah. The second thing that shocked us the most about Ecuador is that it's a lot cooler than we thought it would be.
Yeah, we thought because we were going to be so close to the equator that it would be warmer, and that is not the case in a lot of Ecuador, at least the parts that we visited.
Yeah, I guess the Amazon is quite a bit hotter and humid, and Guayaquil can be sometimes, but it's just not like Mexico in the summer. That's kind of what we had envisioned.
No, or Arizona.
Yeah, or Arizona.
In the summer.
Yeah, it's just not nearly that hot. It is pretty humid. But for the most part, it's in the 80s and low 90s in the low altitude. In the high mountain cities, it's really just in the 70s, sometimes in the 60s. Even at night, it gets down into the 30s.
Yeah, I was often bundled up in the wintertime in Cuenca,
Yeah.
Inside and outside.
And it does snow on top of those high volcanoes. So there is snow at the equator.
Shocked us about Ecuador is how many people want to practice their English with us.
Yeah, we get stopped on the street quite often by people, and they just ask us, do you speak English? And they want to practice. And so we want to practice our Spanish. So it's like a mini language exchange.
Yeah, it's happened to us all over, really, in Cuenca and here in Olón, and even last week from La Libertad, from a person from North America, from the United States.
He was totally fluent in English, but said he rarely speaks it here because just not a lot of people speak English, especially here on the coast. There's your cows.
They're so pretty.
You always get to see cows.
I know, that's one of the things that shocks me the most about Olón is seeing cows and horses on the beach and just around town.
Yeah, these are just walking around, chillaxing, eating grass. Very curious about what we're doing. Yeah. Amelia, is that yuca or tapioca?
I have no idea.
It looks like it to me.
It's awfully big.
It is very big. It's a lot bigger than we are used to seeing, but boy, it's really pretty.
Look at the things on the top.
Oh yeah, those are blooms.
Flowers or something.
Maybe you can smoke those.
That does kind of look like that.
I think that cow's talking to you. Are you freaking out?
I am a city girl.
Yeah, this is a little too green acres for Amelia. Green acres is the place to be.
You tell me that they're docile.
They are pretty docile, but steer clear of the ones with the horns.
Yeah, I know.
The fourth thing that shocked us about Ecuador is that they don't have a postal delivery system, at least not door to door. We talked about that in our things we miss most about the United States video. I'll link that above Amelia's head, right up there. So you can go check that video out if you missed it.
Yeah, I guess we not only missed it and we miss it, but we're still shocked by it.
Yeah, it's so weird. They just don't have addresses here. Somebody commented on that video who lives in Guayaquil. It says his address is the second house across from the yellow church. So even in the big cities, there aren't exact addresses like what we're used to in the States.
No, it's really interesting. When we lived in our house in Cuenca, the landlord used to get mail from his bank and they would just deliver it by courier service and just toss it through on the ground.
Yeah, and the cow has a lot to say about this too, Amelia.
Yes.
Amelia, those leaves are as big as you.
Yeah, it's a Jurassic Park plant.
Yeah, man, I can just see a Brontosaurus nibbling on those. Or are they Brachiosaurus? You know, they got rid of one.
Oh, I have no idea.
You're not a dinosaur nerd.
No.
They've really done a lot of clearing since
they
we've been here
have.
the last time.
Well, obviously very controlled because none of the trees look affected at all.
Yeah, they've definitely cleared a lot of the undergrowth that was lining this road.
Yeah.
The fifth thing that shocked us about Ecuador is how modern and developed parts of it are.
Yeah, we're constantly surprised when we go to Guayaquil. The malls are super modern. The hotels and the condos are incredible.
The restaurants.
Yeah, restaurants too. And you could put those anywhere in the world and you would feel just like you would at home.
Yeah, and also our doctors' offices, dentists, eye doctors, they're all very modern. They have all the updated equipment. It's just, we were kind of led to believe something a lot different by our upbringing in the United States. The media coverage, movies, TV shows, they kind of make us believe that any place outside the United States is very undeveloped, and it's just not the case, and that's something that really shocked us about Ecuador. Horses are really pretty.
Oh, I know, they're so beautiful.
We've seen lots of babies lately.
We have. And those aren't the same ones we've seen on the beach.
Nope, those are different. That bug was a little too big for my comfort level.
Yeah, I could hear him from a mile away.
Yeah,
maybe not quite a mile.
Sounded about like a helicopter. God, he's really too big. If you're wondering how to get to Ecuador, we just posted our weekly blog post over on liveabroadnow.com. Tells you all about how to get here and how to get around once you land. I'll put a link to that in the description below if you want to go check it out.
The sixth thing that shocked us the most about Ecuador is the awesome and affordable public transportation. This is near and dear to my heart because I grew up in the Chicagoland area and was really used to taking public transportation, trains and buses. And then I moved to Denver and there's nothing. But then we came to Ecuador and you can take a bus everywhere all throughout the country and it is super, super affordable and the buses are nice.
Amelia said Denver doesn't have a bus system. That's not totally true. It's just not a very convenient system, and you can often drive places and park for less money and much faster than taking the public transportation. The seventh thing that shocked us about Ecuador is that it can take quite a bit of time to get from city to city.
Yeah, I was really surprised by this because Ecuador is a pretty small country, and I just thought we could zip along like we were used to in the United States, but that is not the case.
No, most of the highways are just 2 lanes, and they go through small towns, so you're stuck driving pretty slowly. For instance, between Olón and La Libertad, it's only 32 miles, but it takes an hour to drive it. So you're only averaging like 32 miles an hour.
Yeah, we can fly from Quito to Cuenca, but we cannot fly from Cuenca to Guayaquil. So you have to drive through the Cajas, and that takes 3.5 hours. And sometimes it's a little scary.
Yeah, it is a beautiful drive. We recommend doing it during the day.
Yeah.
But it does take quite a bit of time. And that's one example. There's a lot of them. Like you can't fly from Guayaquil to several of the other cities in Ecuador either. It's just not a lot of domestic flights between the major cities.
Or if they do have those flights, it's only like 1 day a week. The 8th thing that shocked us about Ecuador is that they are on the dollar.
Yeah, we didn't realize before we left the United States that there are other countries on the U.S. dollar other than the United States. Actually, it's like a dozen different countries, and Ecuador is one of them. We actually talked about that quite a bit in our Why We Chose Ecuador video. I'll put a link to that right there above Amelia's head. And that video also now has Spanish subtitles. The 9th thing that shocked us about Ecuador is the number of expat-owned businesses.
Yeah, we both work remotely and we encourage other people to do so. However, you can come here and open a business.
Yeah, Ecuador is very business friendly. They love it when expats come here and create jobs. We know people who own restaurants, hotels, real estate agencies, yoga studios, fitness gyms.
Hairstylists, people who do artisan crafts and food, you name it.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for business here and a lot of things that we're used to in the States that just don't exist here yet. So if you're creative and have a good work ethic, you can come here and definitely start your own business. For a pot of coffee?
I don't think those are quite ripe yet. Actually, I don't know if they're ripe or not. I have no idea.
They don't look ripe. They're still red.
No.
Do they turn brown?
I thought that's when you roast them that they turn brown. I honestly don't know, JP. I guess
believe-
we need to take one of those tours.
What kind of a coffee connoisseur are you?
The kind that goes and buys it out of a bag.
So if civilization crumbles, we will no longer be able to have coffee.
I'm sure I'll figure it out. The 10th thing that shocked us the most about Ecuador is that the people are incredibly warm and welcoming.
They are. Everybody is so friendly. They really don't meet a stranger.
No, it's amazing. And thank you so much for making us feel so welcome and immediately feel at home here.
Yeah, our neighbors stop us and talk on the street. Everybody says hello. It's just we're always constantly amazed at how they welcome people, foreigners, into their country. And we've had multiple people tell us that their country is our country.
Yes.
And we never really feel that way in some of the other places we've traveled to. But Ecuador, man, that's one thing you really got going for you.
Yes, it's very special. The people are very special.
We have reached the end of the trail, and it's time for us to head back home.
If you like this video, leave us a thumbs up, please. We hope you have an unconventional day, and we'll see you all in our next video.
Ciao.
Ciao.